face are welcome not only in these meetings, but in our community as well. The participation of all citizens in the process of self-government will help our Board of Supervisors to better serve the good people of Mecklenburg County. This time I'll call on Mr. Spain to lead us in prayer. Thank you, Mr. Spain. So I will now call this meeting of the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors to order. Would like to remind you, please, to either mute or turn off your cell phone so we don't have those interruptions during our meeting. Also, I want to remind you about our public comments portion of the meeting. We have a sign-up sheet at the back of the room. We would request that you sign up prior to speaking. We allow you 3 minutes to come forward and speak on matters of concern that you have dealing with Mecklenburg County, and we encourage participation in that. This time I would ask that you stand for our pledge to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Board, you have in your packet the minutes of our meetings of October 12 and October 20. If there are no corrections to those minutes, the Chair would entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the October 12th, October 20th, 2021 minutes.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. On the agenda, I don't have any, Mr. Carter, do you have any additions or deletions?
No, sir.
Okay, so the agenda that you have before you will be the agenda that we will pursue this morning. So we need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt the agenda. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. At this time, we will go to public comments. Any sign-ups, Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir. Today we have Miles Tisdale. Tisdale? Thank you, sir. Sorry if I bludgeoned it the first time.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor and pleasure to be recognized today. My name is Miles Tisdale, and this is my second opportunity to attend and be heard by government officials. Thank you very much. First off, I'd like to thank some individuals, some I've met and others just by phone. All of them have been patient, professional, and helpful. Commissioner of Avenue, Ed Taylor. Mecklenburg Health Department, Emily Children. Our Fourth Estate representative, Susan Kite, she's here. Okay. And of course, the gentleman I just met a few minutes ago, our county administrator, Wayne Carter. Thank you. Last month, I came before this body out of concern about the vehicle assessment going up. I'm just following up. Most of the people that I've talked to that own trucks, like myself, 150s, 1500s, we experienced anywhere from a 36 to 40% increase. but it was good that you put the money towards the school system, which is a worthwhile cause. This time I'd like to address the public health issue, and I hope that somebody had shown up today. I've come across something I believe needs your attention. Title 16, Virginia Administrative Code, Agency 25-160-10. Basically, it talks about contractors and sanitation requirements that contractors have to abide by. I can't find a county ordinance that governs it. The health department doesn't have an ordinance, and the building inspector doesn't have an ordinance. The state requires you to have a porta potty if you got 20 workers. You got building sites, homes, new homes mostly. And these homes are being built 4, 5 months, 6 months with 2 to a dozen or 15 workers coming and going 5, 6 days a week sometimes. They're defecating and urinating because they don't have a porta potty because the contractor's not required to have one. It's unsanitary and it's unsightly. We walk down our streets in the evenings, in the mornings, walking our dogs. For those that's lucky enough to have kids or grandkids, they're being exposed to this. Our HOA have been going after several builders for months before they finally brought a porta potty. There's no reason for it. So I would ask that you consider creating a tool and putting it into the toolbox for the inspector and the health department so that they can go out and enforce something that should have already been there. Thank you. If anybody has any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
That's the only one I have, sir.
All right, so our next item is a public hearing concerning an application to amend our zoning ordinance, Article 19.2 fees. Mr. Hendrick, you want to address that?
Yes, sir. You have an application by the Mecklenburg County Planning Commission to amend Article 19, Section 19-2 fees, Paragraph D, to increase the appeal application fee from $100 to $325.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Hendrick on this before we go to public hearing?
The reason being is all of our other fees are $325. It's the same amount of work for an appeal, the same notifications. You have to notify all the adjoining property owners, just like you did the original application, correct, Mr. Hendricks?
Yes, and the ad.
And the ad, so we're actually losing money on those.
All right. All right, this time we'll open the public hearing to consider this application to amend the zoning ordinance, Article 19.2 fees, increasing them from $100 to $325. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter, please come forward at this time. Seeing no one, the public hearing is now closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the ordinance, increase the fees.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the amendment of the zoning ordinance. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We have our superintendent here this morning to give us an update on our new school. Welcome, Mr. Nichols.
Good morning, and thank you very much. I'm looking forward to a little bit of a difference in the way we make the presentation this time. I've got a drone video that I will be showing of the overall site and with some components that I believe all of you would like to be able to see. So this will be beneficial. We're going to put it up on the screen, we hope.
Yes, we hope.
Are you trying to say we've had some technical difficulties?
Well, we had it worked out early on when we tried it.
Always works the first time.
There we go. All right. Thanks to the wonderful technology operators that we have in place. So this is our progress update for November the 1st. Hard to believe we've gotten to November already, but we are. As usual, we're looking at construction, the schedule, and budget, but I will be using the video instead of photos. Just to give you an idea on where we are with several of the components right now, roofing is being installed on the auditorium. That's internal roofing for, as you would see it, so it would not just be, of course, we have the roof on the auditorium on the outside, so no rain finally not coming in. The fire suppressors are ongoing throughout, building those options throughout the building. That huge crane that you've seen, that's been sort of the mark everybody's loved in the distance looking and seeing that big thing putting roofing on, that is now complete with its job, and it is being set aside to be taken down and taken away. It takes 5 transfer trucks to get that in and out. So that will be moving. Painting is ongoing. Most of the building will have polished concrete, and the floor polishing is beginning very soon. That's a great part on the inside. The force main is nearing completion. The concessions on the middle school interior build-out is underway, as well as the high school athletic fields. That's a very exciting part to see that coming into completion. The field lights are on site and will begin being put up very soon. And the west and south parking lot paving will begin very soon as well, so that we can catch it before we have freezing temperatures that would interrupt some of that. And then the bus loop canopy steel is still coming in and being put up for the bus driveway. Final completion is still set up for the 1st of August of 2022. Notable upcoming dates, and you can see those for some of the things that we mentioned. The bus canopy footers on the 5th of November, completing the field house stem walls on the 8th of November, completing the ductwork in the auditorium the 12th of November, completing the lift station constructions on the 19th of November, main building becoming completely dry from things on the 22nd of November. So we'll be moving completely indoors pretty much, except for some of the work on the athletic field after that. Construction budget at this point is at $109,309,510, and as usual, the owner direct purchasing is going on. So that's a significant development for that. I'm going to shift it just a little bit to move to the video and pull that up. So you can see this shot. This is where we are now. We'll be moving in a little bit. I'm not the best drone flyer, so there's a few times it'll be slipping one way or the other, and I found one button I'd never found on the drone before that for about 3 seconds, and just a little bit you're going to see the ground beneath the video. But basically you get a real good picture here of the overall site with the internal places, the roofing that's all been in place, other than the administrative wing right over the middle. There's my blip, pardon that. But as we move through, you can see, and I'm going to pause it. Of course, if you can see my pointer, I've got the high school section. This is the academic area. We've got 3 distinct hallways. Every classroom has exterior lighting from these open space areas that are completely enclosed, and they can be using that area as well. The middle school now is completely under roof as well. It has the one area for the 2 hallways that go through there. Of course, we've got room for growth if we find more students coming in and have need of getting beyond 1,300 at the middle school, 1,500 at the high school. This is the area of the administrative wing, and then you've got the library media center underneath this area, and then we've got the music section for band development. This whole area is the auditorium, the 1,200-seat auditorium that the whole community is looking forward to. And we've got your high school cafeteria, your middle school cafeteria, and your gym areas. And then over to this side, you've got your middle school fields. We'll be looking at those, and then the high school fields that are under development. So I'm going to move on.
Paul, can I ask one quick question?
Certainly.
On the auditorium, to access that, you would have to enter the actual front of the school building itself and go down the hallway to it, right? There's no exterior,
There's not a direct access to the auditorium, but persons, when we have functions in the auditorium for the community, they would be coming in through either the middle school cafeteria or the high school cafeteria. It was specifically designed that way because that gives you a whole entry level, a place for people to be gathering. If they wanted to have a special function with a meal or something of that nature, it would be available in the cafeteria. And all of that section, for safety purposes, can be completely shut off from the academic area of the building. That's a safety feature
very
for
good.
it.
Thank you.
So moving over, there's not a lot of stone underneath the middle school athletic facility. In fact, we had to build this whole part up about 30 feet. We've got almost enough hill right here in this area to be considered room for winter sports programs with whatever we might want to do out there. This is the middle school track. It's a full-size track that we will have for the middle school and also for practicing. This is the football field. This is a turf field for the middle school. Softball and baseball will be not having to use any of the interior football, soccer fields. They'll have their own field areas in place. What you see here is soon after our new agriculture specialist was able to go in and really begin to cut down and maintain the fields. So even this area over here, which is not going to be usable by us because the Corps of Engineers and the National Historic Society deemed that to be an area which was once an Indian campground, and so it's of historic value, so we can't do much here. But we do have the connections with the sewage line right in here that are being completed. And then all of this field, this is a practice field that will be irrigated for practices, things that are going on. Sod has now been put down on these two fields as well as the football field. That's the sod with the grass that will grow on it, so it'll have a good year, the winter, to be able to grow in. This area in here is going to be a great place for external or outside activities of all types for the community as well as our own, which we're looking forward to working with the community on. And as we move on from there, you'll be able to see that there's a significant amount of the field work, preparation for softball and baseball that has been put in place for the activities that we have. This is where a significant amount of the extra rock that we found up on the high school end of it has been placed in stone. As we move closer, we had thought this would be a part of the agriculture program, but there's not much we can do with all of that rock other than have a rock garden, I guess. This area, however, is an area that we will be using as was explained with Farm Bureau the other night with Zach Sullivan, the ag specialist. We will be having this area for fruit trees and blueberry and blackberry bushes and things of that nature. So this will be where the ag program will actually begin, with forestry and other things taking place in these areas. As we move over, and we'll have another sense of this, this is also a part of the ag program. There will be a barn in here, and greenhouses will be in this area right here. But this is going to be the garden area where fruits and vegetables and things of that nature are going to be grown. So as we move back around, you get a chance to see. Again, I was looking at this from the perspective of showing it to many groups that have shown significant interest. I will tell you that the old railroad bed runs right through this area, right on the corner. There are sections that you can move right into and we will be using that bed for agriculture and cross-country and things like that, coming in and out very well. So even that part of it will be beneficial for us. Nothing is wasted. So this is a practice field for the high school area. This is where the main football, soccer structure will be, as well as track. The area that you see right now in gray, because it's the different layers of stone for the turf, but this will be the artificial turf in this building, and this is, of course, not building, but in this field area, this is where the lights will be for the programs. This is the softball field for the high school and the baseball field for the high school. And then, of course, as you look, this gives you a better sense of the back end. You can see some of the walkways where the students will be coming in. Buses will be coming down this area, unloading high schools in here, unloading middle schools, and then having an area to park in that area. This is the central utility plant. If we move over, I'll be flying back over the area that was purchased for the Agriculture Environmental Science Program. This field right in here was where a significant amount of the clay was removed for the purposes of the making the level where the school was being built. This gives you a much better sense of the football field. You can see the track area being put in. These are the footers for the bleachers and things of that nature that are going in for the program. The actual outdoor track facilities will be here as well with pole vault, the long jump. Back in this area, we've got room where we'll have the shot put and things of that nature being put in. And then we have the parking areas over in this area.
Are we going to promote all these facilities for regional and state competitions?
They were set up, state competitions usually happen now at universities, but regional competitions have specific guidelines, and when we design it, we look to be able to have regional meetings here.
Because that might be something that could work into our tourism program.
Right. Not only that, but also the whole idea of, we have a lot of traveling teams, and there's significant opportunities for traveling teams to really be able to come in. That's one of the benefits we found from building the middle and the high school together, because we have multiple fields for things of, not for our own use as well as for traveling teams and practicing things that are coming up. So here again, I was referring to this area. This is where we will have a high, all right, I'm going to have to ask Mr. Brankley to remind me. It's a high tunnel. High tunnel. That's one of the new kind of agriculture opportunities for the students to grow. It extends the growing season like 6 weeks. So this area will be very beneficial for that. Over here we have the 2 ponds for hydroponics, and then what was purchased by the Board of Supervisors for us actually moves right down through here and comes down to the track. And then we were able to purchase this additional area running right down this road and through this area. And of course, this is where the Cleveland construction is now, but this will come back to us for the Center for the Ag Program. And this lost me. This house right here actually is 2 acres. That is the only part in all of this that doesn't belong to the schools, that will still be rented to somebody. We like to tease that whoever is the principal of the school or something will have their own parsonage. They tried to put that on me, but I said no.
That is a good superintendent's bill.
Maybe the next one. So those ponds have got lots of opportunity for the program that we have. And again, this is the whole area that you all were able to add for us. We appreciate it. And then coming right through, moves too fast, but this area is what we will have as well. This will probably be the area, the fields for our small and large animals and the development of those. We're a little concerned right here that we will need to go back to the Highway Department again and ask for a light, but so far we haven't had success with that. This gives you a picture of the parking area. This is for the teachers. This is for general student use. And then this will be a nice open area with, we're putting a fountain in here. This will be a great entrance for the school being able to come up. All of this extra roadway is so that we won't have cars. We still have lots of parents who are bringing their children to school every day, and we don't want that backing up in the 58. So that gives you a pretty significant look at the overall structure and how far it's come. We've got less than 10 months now for completion of it to begin really getting the students in place, and we're excited. We will be having a grand opening at some point next summer, probably in July. And we'll continue to give you updates as the building comes along. But any questions at this point? Yes, sir.
With all those ponds, you gonna be teaching the kids how to fish?
Those are our swimming pools that we were wanting to teach swimming. No, those are required for all of the grounds and groundskeeping and collection and making sure that we don't run into long-term problems with forestry and other types of departments. Yes, sir.
Okay, two questions. One, your rock garden is probably the only one we have in the state. How could that be uniquely worked in with the school system?
We're working on that, Mr. Spain. We'll be glad to take any guidance that you might have for us on that part of it.
Okay. The school looked nice, sitting on the hill, really eye-catching. Will that be a flagpole twice the size as the regular schools? Since we got two schools together, would that be a larger flagpole?
We do have flagpoles planned in this front area.
Okay.
We have had a large flag already donated, but another company has come in and said, we'd like to give you an even larger flag. So
Right.
we think we'll have a very good large size flag out there for it.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any others?
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Making progress. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Mr. Nichols. Next, we have with us this morning Robert Crockett and Jay McChesney. They're going to do a presentation for us on the Williams gas pump station. Welcome, glad to have you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all a little bit this morning about the Williams Company, our Transco pipeline system, and our proposed Southside Reliability Enhancement project. So it's probably been a couple years since someone from Williams was last presenting in front of the board, so I thought I'd start off with a quick reminder of who we are and what we do. Williams is an energy infrastructure company that handles roughly 30% of the natural gas in the United States. We work closely with customers to provide the necessary infrastructure to serve growing markets and safely deliver natural gas products to reliably fuel the clean energy economy. In the state of Virginia, we have a little bit over 950 miles of pipeline, over $12 million in annual payroll, over $3.5 million in annual property taxes, with roughly 90 employees, one of which we have with us today, Mr. Stuart Roach, who is our local operations supervisor. And Transco has reliably served Virginia for more than 60 years. Our customers are major local distribution companies, as well as large commercial industrial users. And go on to the next slide here. So this is an overview of our existing infrastructure in the state. And as you can see here for Mecklenburg County, that lateral line that cuts off to the east, that is our South Virginia lateral line. So again, we have two lines, South Virginia lateral A and B. The A line was first put into service in 1968. The South Virginia lateral B line was placed into service in 2015. And our pipeline and our compressor station 167 in South Hill paid roughly $145,000 in annual property tax this year. For our proposed Southside Reliability Enhancement Project, we had some open house events 2 weeks prior on October 21st, actually just across the street in the public library. This meeting was advertised in the newspapers, both in the print and digital editions. We also sent out notification letters to landowners within a half mile of the proposed facility, as well as other local and state stakeholders. So this is a project map of our proposed Southside Reliability Enhancement Project. This project involves upgrades and modifications to a number of existing facilities with one proposed additional facility, which is an all-electric compressor station here in Mecklenburg County. So a little bit more about this project. It's designed to increase our delivery capacity by 423,400 decatherms per day. That's roughly enough natural gas to meet the needs of nearly 2 million homes in the region. As I mentioned, that would involve a new all-electric compressor station here in Mecklenburg. The open houses we held last week were part of our FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission process. We have begun our pre-file application process with them. We initiated that process on October 1st. We would anticipate filing our full FERC 7C application this coming spring, with anticipated construction start in the summer of 2023 to get that project in service and delivering gas by the end of 2024. This is the proposed location. This is actually 3 separate pieces of land here, and taking it out a little bit, this is on Country Club Drive, roughly 3 miles southeast of Chase City, and that black line there is our existing South Virginia lateral line. So the station that we have proposed, our additional station that we've proposed for Mecklenburg County, would be called Station 168. This would be an anticipated additional investment of nearly $92 million. And estimated total county tax revenue off this investment for the first year after in-service is $1.67 million, depreciating annually to $322,000 after year 6. And based on our preliminary engineering and design, these are the various components that would make up that compressor station: compressor building to house the compressor packages, above ground and buried suction discharge piping, auxiliary equipment and piping, a station power building to supply power to the station, unit control building, communications building, an electric motor driven compressor unit, some storage tanks, a vent gas recovery system to capture any methane or other emissions from that facility, set of gas coolers, an emergency generator unit in case of a power outage, air compressor package, and a substation to power the unit. And our decision to go electric here is a part of the company's larger climate commitment. Williams was the first midstream company in the US to announce a net zero climate goal by 2050 and a short-term emissions reduction target of 56% by 2030. And some of the tools that we've identified to help us do that is electric-driven compression, as well as an emissions reduction program that we are currently running up and down our whole Transco footprint. So again, thank you all for your time this morning. With that, I'd be happy to address any of your questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, concerning the growth for the next 5 to 10 years, electric vehicles, what do you anticipate your growth for the next 5 to 10 years for demand for gas?
That is a good question. That's probably beyond my expertise, to be totally honest with you. But most of the data that I've seen indicates slightly lower natural gas demand growth than we've seen previously, but still a steady increase.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I would like to add, Williams is doing this presentation for you all. You don't have any local zoning control on this as they're exempt under FERC rules. I just wanted y'all to know what's going on. It is a large increase in our taxes over the next few years, decreasing, as he said, to year 6 to still $320-some thousand based upon our current rates. So it is still significant investment of $90+ million in the county.
So what happens to 7th, 8th, 9th?
Stays, I think, at that level, correct?
Yes.
Stays at 630.
No, 322.
Oh, 330.
But it starts off at 1.67, so we always do appreciate any large investment in the county of 90 million plus. And wanted y'all to know what's going on also. So we do have another compressor station. That's 2. I will tell you the one we have was put in, Stewart, 91 at South Hill and Chaptico. At that time, there were really no houses around there. Since that time, there have been houses built up all around it on Chaptico. That is a diesel facility, correct? Natural gas run, but it actually has a building around it and mufflers on it. I've never heard any complaints over there. I don't know if you all have either, but none that I'm aware of. They've been a good neighbor.
We appreciate that. And yes, part of our FERC regulatory process, we are kept to a noise limit for 55 dBA at the closest noise sensitive area.
All right. Any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate the presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, next we have a report from the Budget and Finance Committee. Mr. Spain?
The board member, assume that each have a copy of the Budget Finance Committee report. The Budget and Finance Committee met on Monday, November the 1st, 2021 at 8:15 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room. Member President, Glanza Spain, Charles Jones, David Brinkley, Jim Jenny, Sterling Wilkerson. Also present, Glenn Barber, Claudia London, Anna Hargrove, Tom Towner, Wayne Carter County Administrator, Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator, Ed Taylor, Commissioner of Revenue, and Samuel Langford, Treasurer. Chairman called the meeting to order with Krista Pfeiffer, Mike McKenna, Public School Financial Director, request approval to open a bank account, and they will be able, the school system, to accept payment online. This will allow parents to pay for most school line item online, although cash will still be accepted. processing fees are added to the cost paid by the user. Upon the motion of Mr. Jones, the committee recommend approval of the new bank account to handle online payment. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve of this new bank account for the school system to handle fees.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Carter next present an explanation for the proposal of municipal lease for the radio equipment from Motorola. The equipment and the lease was explained. The lease payment will begin at the fiscal year and run through FY '26 at the annual cost of $80,377 for the total cost of $401,885,000. This year funds are already included in the current budget and the lease then to proceed previous provided. From the motion of Mr. Wilkerson, the committee recommend approval of the Motorola release. Chairman, I'll put this in a motion that we approve of this lease for Motorola radios.
Okay, you've heard that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And the board at October meeting and listened to the request by the Mecklenburg Impact Mission Camp for the building and zoning permit fee to be donated as a in-kind match during the 2-week period of housing that will work on throughout the county. Mr. Carter state that the amount of fee will be less than $1,000 based upon this service being provided and could handle similar to the DACH housing project. On the motion, Mr. Jones, the committee unanimously recommend approval of the request for the Mecklenburg Impact Mission Camp for acceptance of up to $1,000. Staff will work with Mr. Wright to develop a list of the project. Chairman, I'll put this in the form of motion that we waive the fee up to $1,000.
Okay, you've heard that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
There be no further business and meeting was adjourned. Conclude my report, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Swain. Next is a report from the Secondary Roads Committee. Mr. Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Secondary Roads Committee met on November the 1st, 2021 at 8:45 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors Conference Room. Members present, David Brinkley, Chairman, Claudia Lundy, Clancy Spain, and Sterling Wilkerson. Also present, Glenn Barber, Jim Jennings, Charles Jones, Andy Hargrove, Tom Tanner, Wayne Carter, County Administrator, Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator, Kevin Smith, Vdot, Assistant Resident Engineer. The Chairman called the meeting to order. Mr. Carter advised the committee that B&B Consultants have been released by Microsoft to design the site plan for property on the Roanoke River Regional Business Park. In designing the commercial interest and coordinating with VDOT, they discovered that there is no speed limit posted on Brunswick-Mecklenburg Commerce Boulevard Route 882, and therefore the speed limit is set at 55 miles an hour. Staff feels that a lower speed limit is needed due to the length of the road and the increase we will be seeing traffic as construction begins in the park. Upon a motion by Ms. Lundy, the committee unanimously recommended that the board request a speed study on Brunswick-Mecklenburg Commerce Boulevard Route 882 by VDOT. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put that in a motion, please.
All right, you've heard that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
VDOT has reviewed the current 6-year plan. Due to the number of roads in the Chase City District, the county needs to shuffle some of the road order. The main issue is building the distance of over 2 miles in one district per year. Upon a motion by Mr. Wilkins, the committee unanimously recommended the proposing new order as presented by VDOT. I'd like to put that in a motion too, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you've heard that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
In other discussion, Mr. Barber asked where in South Hill were roundabouts proposed. Vdot says only at Walmart currently. Mr. Smith advised he will bring more information to the board next meeting. Next, the committee discussed the proposed roundabout at Clarksville and the continued issues with the elevation change at 58 Business Highway 15 south of Clarksville. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Carter.
Yes, sir. Right, we have several handouts this time because of the fact that first of the month, you do have your building permits. Get to the right sheet. Again, housing construction is still staying very strong, 12 more permits last month. So if you have any questions on that. Zoning report,
We don't.
we didn't have, I didn't see it, that's why I was looking to make sure I didn't miss
We'll
it.
double up next month.
That's right.
He didn't
Robert,
close out.
Robert will close out today, and then we'll go from that. Animal Wardens report, you do have that report here. If you have any questions on that. Sheriff's report is in the packet. And Mr. Ezel is here. Do you have any questions of the major? Next, we have a support resolution for access, I'm sorry, we have the VDOT report here. Mr. Smith's here in case you have some questions. And he's coming up, so Tina, you're gonna have to step back. Kevin wants to speak at it.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Y'all
Morning.
got our monthly VDOT report. The only thing I'm gonna add to it is the mowing continues out on 58, the full median mowing, and the secondary mowing's complete countywide. VDOT crews will be going back, cutting curves and slopes this fall and winter on our secondary roads. Bassville road improvement project is still ongoing. You probably see us out there putting down shoulder stone and getting some shoulders fixed up during the off season while the asphalt plants are closed. That's all I've got unless y'all got any questions.
So on the Bassville Road project, y'all are widening that road a little bit?
Yes, sir.
And it'll be, the shoulders will be fixed the full length. How, I mean, right now it's pretty dangerous out there.
Yeah, we'll fill in the low shoulders and stuff.
Yeah. That's a good thing. All right.
All right.
Any other question?
Just one comment on the Boylan Highway 92, the going west. I hear a lot of thank you for that turnout. For years, you had to come from 55 down to 25, make a turn. So that turn lane, it really has helped people going to Chase City on 92.
All right, appreciate it. All right, thank y'all.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, next we have a support resolution for access of natural gas to the Maymax site. That site is served by Columbia Gas. And we are trying to get gas to be out there. We've had several clients, as it says, look at it, but we need, trying to show support for it. And so we can do our design now at this time for the gas line. And so we'll be able to develop it. Would you agree, Ms. Kellett?
Okay.
Mr. Tanner's on the
Mr. Chairman, I
board too.
make a motion that we pass this resolution in support of this.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to adopt the natural gas access resolution. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
All right, next you have a resolution approving ambulance service. This is being proposed by VCU. They're going to look at you having Mid-Atlantic Incorporated do transports. This is for patients back and forth from the hospital, getting people back to the nursing homes, et cetera. And then this way, hopefully that'll free up some of our ambulances running our emergency services with regards to it. They will not be doing 911 calls unless they're requested, but this is probably the first group we've ever had that actually applied. If you were in service in areas prior to the state changing the regulations, as John explained it to me a number of years ago. You were grandfathered. If you were not, some of them have just come in and operated. Most of those are transport services, hauling people back and forth from nursing homes, et cetera, for rehab, things of that nature, or transporting to another hospital. Tom, did you?
Yeah, and from what they said, the company that currently has the contract is giving it up. So they need another transport service, and AMR has offered to come in and provide this service to take people out of the hospital back to this different nursing care facilities or to Richmond or places like that.
Are they headquartered in Richmond, Tom?
The AMR, their local office is headquartered in Richmond. They're a huge company.
Oh, okay.
And right now, some of the rescue squads are actually pulling people back. One of the problems we're having is until they get that person out of the hospital, back to the nursing home or to their house, or whatever, that bed's not available.
It's no more.
So we're on diversion and have been for a number of times. So this will help us at VCU with regards to that.
All right. Okay. All right, so we need a motion to adopt this resolution approving the ambulance service.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
You've heard the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Next, Ms. Morgan's up to give you a tourism update with regards to what's been happening this fall. Pull it down.
Okay. You hear me? Good afternoon, good morning. Thank you for having me here today so I can give you a little update on what we've been up to this summer. It's been a really busy summer, and I'm happy to share what we've been up to. Normally this time of year in the fall, I'd be giving you an update on our local visitor statistics. However, VTC has informed us that our long-awaited numbers from 2020, like everything else in this world, are delayed. But I do, however, have some state-level statistics to share. These numbers really come as no surprise to us. Visitor spending across the state was down 39.7% in 2020. Travel-supported jobs were down 29%. State and local revenue was down 32%. So I think we can safely assume it's like this across the state in every locality. We all know 2020, tourism took a big hit in 2020. But like every other locality in the state, we continue to march on and remain even more determined to stay in front of people, to promote our area, put our best foot forward. This year, my focus has been on reaching visitors in different ways, different creative ways, and creating more eye-catching content, updating our photography, updating our assets, and really coming up with ways to engage people more. So this summer, one of the things I did differently was I took our show on the road to Floyd. Floyd Fest is one of the largest festivals on the mountain. They had a cancellation in 2020, so they were back in 2021. They sold out at a capacity of 10,000 people. And so Visit Mecklenburg was up there to represent for the whole week. So we set up our booth for the week. I had a little help there from Miss Tina from the Chase City Chamber of Commerce. Met a lot of interested people. Folks up there love to travel and they love to explore. So it was a really good quality crowd that interacted with us for that week. We made some really great connections. I'm happy to report that many of our own local events came back in 2021. And after a year being shut in, most people were ready to get out and support them all. We've even started up some new annual events and gained some new attractions this year. This is Bugs Island Brewery's new site that just recently opened, Lakeside and Clarksville, doing very, very well. In between all these events this year, I spent a lot of time getting fresh new content created, which included new photography. It had been 5 years since we updated our photography, so it was well past time. I really wanted images that helped tell the story of Mecklenburg. our sense of community, our sense of humor, our sense of place. So a lot of things were staged, but really the goal was bringing out our personality. Got a lot of local folks to participate. You might recognize some of them. And really highlighting our absolutely unique and beautiful scenery that we have. These new images will go into creating beautiful new ads. Some might recognize that car right there. So these are just a small sampling of the new photography assets that we have that'll go into really fresh and engaging ads coming up. Like this one. And these. Ads like these have been feeding a 12-month digital campaign, so all of these are digital ads you'll find online. We target audiences that are interested in outdoor recreation, food, craft beer, lake life, history, and the arts. We're now 3 months into this campaign, and the tourism website has seen our number of website visits jump from around 1,000 visitors per month to roughly 8,000 visitors per month. Time spent on the website has also increased from 4 minutes to 6 minutes. This means people are visiting more, they're staying longer, hopefully because they're planning their next trip. All this new content has been culled down into short videos to help us with our storytelling. That was a little 15-second video. And so all these ads, they sort of point back to this content that lives on the tourism website. Just little 15-second ads. These are a great way to capture our short attention spans in a world where everybody's scrolling. You gotta put something in front of them that makes them want to stop for a second. A couple of weeks ago, I revealed to you what's our first mobile mural here in Mecklenburg. This 20-foot cargo trailer will now serve a dual purpose as it travels to different events around the county as an interactive attraction. I think the next event it'll be located at is the Shriners Seafood Festival. And now for the update everyone has been anxious to hear. Just a short couple weeks ago, we hosted the American Bass Anglers National Championship Tournament here at Buggs Island Lake. This is one of the largest grassroots tournaments in the nation. Being a national championship, anglers from divisions all over the United States had to qualify to make it here. So it wasn't that anybody could just sign up and fish. You had to qualify all year long, and the highest ranking anglers made it here. These anglers began to arrive early in the week on Saturday the 16th, and many remained until the following Saturday after the final tournament day. In order to help spread them around the county, I had the opening director's dinner in Clarksville and the registration and final banquet meal in South Hill. That little video gives you an idea of the crowd that was there at the Exchange Building at their final banquet meal. Town of South Hill, I'd like to thank for giving us this space. It was a beautiful space and perfect for this level of activity. Mm-hmm. So we had that in South Hill, and then I had a midweek concert event for them in Chase City. So that was my way of pulling them all over the county. While they were here, I had the chance to survey 226 of the 240 registered anglers. When I gave them the survey, most had already been here for 3 days. A little over 50% stayed in Clarksville, no surprise, followed by, what was a surprise to me, about 14% stayed in Henderson. And the remaining majority stayed in South Hill and other local areas. As you can see, the impact of this event, though, extended beyond our borders. Representing 21 different states, the majority were from North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, but we had anglers from basically everywhere east of the Rockies. Majority of the 226 surveyed stayed an average of 5 to 8 nights with us. About 20, you'll see, stayed 0 nights, and that just indicated they lived close by. So I asked them what their budget was for this trip, and while the answers ranged, the average for the group was about $1,200 per angler. This is consistent with what Anderson, South Carolina, who had hosted them the prior 3 years, had told me to expect. So given the answers to the survey alone, I can estimate $262,000 was spent here over the course of the tournament week. Our investment was $45,000. But I will note at the end that one of the anglers came up to me and said, "Hey, you know that budget you asked us for at the beginning? You can double that. That's what we told our wives. We just gave you the number we told our wives."
That's probably right.
An event this big takes a great deal of planning, but more importantly, good, dependable people to help pull it off. So I'd like just for you to get a glimpse of all the help I received for this tournament. I had people who donated their gators and their golf carts, and then who showed up to operate them. Some from, I had 2 shifts of shuttles. Some ran them from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, and others ran them at 4 a.m. It was a big sacrifice made from a lot of people. That was the whole 3 days they all showed up to do that. I had a lot of help stuffing packets, informational welcome packets to give to them all, serving food, running fish, helping the anglers working the release boats. These kids from the Mecklenburg County Youth Bassmasters were absolutely invaluable to this whole operation. I was just really impressed and grateful for the way people showed up to help run this. And we did all this to simply be able to give these guys a level of hospitality that they had never known. And based on the feedback letters that we've gotten and the comments during the whole event, I think we accomplished that. Now, some might wonder how the fish do. I actually learned a lot about fishing during this whole thing. The conservation efforts this group practices are absolutely top-notch. They checked each and every fish at the holding tank before they were released. So that's what our junior helpers were doing. They were running fish back and forth, down to that release boat where they held them in these large tanks, and they checked every single one of them to make sure that they didn't have too much air in their bladders so that they would be able to swim off when they released them, every fish. And by the end of day 3, 2,400 pounds of fish came across those scales, and only 11 fish died out of that whole tournament. And I was really impressed at the way they worked with our juniors. They taught them the whole conservation practices, all their methods. Those kids learned a lot, and they were really helpful. So I want to thank you once again for the support that you give to me and events like this, and for recognizing the importance of tourism and growing our tourism economy here in Mecklenburg County. This group likes to rotate between their host communities, and so we have a chance to get them back in about 3 years. I have a contract on my desk if you'd like to give me your blessing to sign it today, but you don't have to. That's something I can bring back to you. But again, I want to thank you for your support.
All right, thank you. Some great comments on the fishing tournament. So great job, Tina. Thank you so much.
And Tina, I don't know if you saw it or not, but Yahoo.com entertainment best lake towns to retire in South. Clarksville's at the 3rd position.
Yeah, we're getting up there. We're in front of people.
Mecklenburg County. So I was very impressed with that, and you want this article, I sent it to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I noticed some of the shots were like from a drone. I know a couple of years ago, Wayne, we approved that to have some drone footage in the. Y'all have done that?
Yeah, we did have that
I
footage
noticed some of
done.
the shots were from drones.
Yeah, we've gotten some good drone footage.
And they had their own drone
That's
guy out there
technology
for the
now.
fishing tournament, correct?
This is the person I had do this. So yeah. I had a local photographer come and do some drone photography for this event too.
I would like to thank Tina for the planning. The guy, Chris, said, this is our second favorite place to go, and we've been here once. Our first, he said, you're always going to lose. They built us an entire park to host it. He said, so they got to be number one on our list. Yeah, I can understand that. You got to realize, we've never hosted a tournament. Tournaments used to be held back in the 90s and early 2000s. Down in Henderson, they hosted. But we've never hosted one before. And she did a huge amount of work to prep for this and asking people, what did you do? What do you do right? What do you do wrong? So she really needs the kudos on this because of all the work she did. She was able to con some of us into helping out and other things, but she did the work, okay? And she really needs the thanks for it because it was a crowning success. All the fishermen who we all hauled, at 5 o'clock in the morning, they're going, this is a great place. We really love this place. Boynton Volunteer Fire Department came out. She got them to cook breakfast. They were very happy because most of these places, they don't get any food. So to be able to get breakfast, an opportunity of it was very good for them, things of that nature. So I want to thank everybody that helped with it. Town of Clarksville, they had folks out there, police department, sheriff's office had volunteers out there also with us, riding around. Probably going to have to look at a new gator at some point in time. That thing's a little old, buddy, but it's reliable. So I want to thank her and everything that was done.
Did an excellent job.
Very good job.
Good job.
That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, folks, you have in your packet the Lake Country Regional Airport Commission minutes and treasurer's report. That's for informational purposes. Also, the Southside Behavioral Health Operational Report for informational purposes also. Consent calendar, if there are no questions concerning the consent calendar, we need a motion to adopt it as presented.
Chairman, I motion we approve the consent calendar as presented.
And you heard the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The Seven Bridges Solar Project has filed for an appeal on the Planning Commission decision. And Mr. Carter, maybe you can bring us up to speed on.
Yes, sir. They filed an appeal the 60 days from the date, which would have been between now and our December 13th meeting. They did look at our agenda, see that this was on it, filed a formal request to postpone or at least hold their hearing at our December board meeting on the 13th. They did not want to have a separate meeting for that. I have spoken to Russell on that. He said that's fine for you all to hold it now per their request until your regular board meeting in December.
So I don't think we need to take any further
We won't
action.
take any action. Robert will advertise it, notify the adjoining property owners. He does have packets to give each one of you. This is their formal application appeal. I will let him give them out. It's so huge, it would be hard to send it besides multiple emails on your tablets. So therefore, we're going to go ahead and just hand you that out if that's all right. But yeah, we are thankful that they did request postponement on that.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have the Cliff Note version?
That is it.
Thank you, Robert.
So they did request the deferral on Friday with regards to that and until the December 13th, and that no special meeting be held. That's all I have, sir, on that.
All right. Thank you. All right, that concludes our regular agenda items, so we'll go to board member matters, and Mr. Jennings, you want to start us?
Get to go first, huh?
Yeah.
I get to say what everybody else was gonna say.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
You know, I guess thing I want to bring up is this you know, the increase in the taxes on vehicles in the county. And I think a lot of people are probably upset about it. Completely get that. I think it caught everybody by surprise. Certainly caught the commissioner's office, treasurer's office, and us by surprise. I know some surrounding counties have made corrections. I'm just wondering if we can do that. And I think the thing that probably maybe upsets people the most is that this is really, when you get down to it, a tax increase that this board didn't vote on. I mean, we didn't vote on it. And, you know, it's a tax increase that it wasn't a public hearing. And I guess we had everybody's mercy, staff's mercy, to try to maybe figure out something to reconcile this somewhat. I don't know if we can or not. Certainly need to have a conversation about reconciling it. That's kind of where I'd like to go with this right here. I don't know, Wayne, I don't know if you want to jump in, or Ed, you want to jump in, how we need to handle things. I think it needs to, something needs to be done.
Well, I mean, with regards to the values, we've had adjustments like this, not as large as this, in the past on different vehicle classes. We had it a few years ago on pickup trucks. Pickup trucks went up, other things went down. So it really didn't affect everyone, but that's always within every year, you have a value adjustment. Usually it's decreasing downwards, whereas this time it's gone up. I don't think there's really anything you can do for the December.
No, I know.
And
you know,
that's one of the
going
things.
forward after this billing
Right.
cycle.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I didn't even remotely mean we're gonna need to do something immediately.
So we can take a look. I'd like to see what our final numbers come in with regards to payments, okay? To see where that lies with regards to what we've done in the past. One of the things I've told y'all is I am concerned on a couple of things. DMV stops are still useful, but a lot of people aren't going to DMV because y'all can't write tickets to just pull people for an expired tag. Are y'all able to pull them now for expired tags, et cetera? Right. So a lot of things that the sheriff's office could stop somebody, give them a ticket. Well, then you had to go before the court and get your taxes straight so that you could get your vehicle license, et cetera. Those are not tools that we can use right now. Inspections, tags, things that they would get tickets for on any of these things, correct? Okay. I'm not sure when that's going to change. Secondly, the other side of it is I'd like to see, one of the things that we use also is debt set-off, which is against people's state tax rebate, okay? So if you haven't paid your personal property tax, then we can pull, not real estate, but personal property. When you get a rebate, we put a debt set-off, and that actually pulls the money to the county first, and then you get what's left over. We have people who actually pay their taxes once a year that way, correct? They know that. Well, for the past 4 months, one of the things that individuals have gotten is your child tax credit. You're now getting it every month, okay? So people who've always gotten refunds are probably not going to get them this year. They're going to owe taxes, many folks. Because if you're looking at $300 a month, 5 months, 2 kids, do the math, we're at $3,000. That you're now going to have to, that was $3,000 you got back, that you're not going to get back this year. So we are somewhat concerned about that. But we can take a look at it.
Come back from a collection.
From a collection standpoint, okay? And we can take a look at maybe doing something on a percentage, coming back. Right now, we do 100% of clean loan, correct? So we could take a look at going backwards or look at going at the June billing at lowering that percentage, okay? To try to come up with something closer to it.
What would that entail logistically?
Let us see what collections look like to see what kind of additional funds we're bringing in. I like to look at that first because we've got X amount.
So is January too early to know what collections will be?
Probably, yes.
So we can address this in February maybe.
Probably. And what we're looking at, we knew we were going to have an increase. We already knew that. So we built some of that into our budget, okay, because people were buying new cars. So the person, I mean, as Ed said, roughly we had 3 times as many new vehicles purchased this past year as a normal year. So you had a bump.
So they shouldn't be affected though, right? I mean, they're gonna pay tax on those new vehicles, period.
And a lot of people upgraded cars. Well, basically, we saw a huge increase. People got money back during the pandemic from the state, federal government, everything else. And they spent that money, not just on vehicles, appliances, mattresses, et cetera. You can go by any dumpster in the county and tell that, okay? If you don't believe it, ask the landfill guys. But yeah, that's the reality of it. So we knew people were buying more. It was on the news, everything else. So we built some of that into the budget. So I want to look at that also, because we had an increase of that because we knew we were going to get it. So we need to look at that, but I'd say yes, in February, we could have some numbers back to y'all, or at least some estimates.
You know, I don't want the county to lose any money, but I think, you know, this is a pretty good windfall for the county, that these increases, no fault of anybody's. I completely get that, you know, you're going by the same rules that you've always gone by. But if we can do something in the future to offset this, I think it's the right thing to do.
Certainly study that.
I don't know if anybody wants to chime in on that or not, so.
No, I mean, I agree. If it's something we can do to alleviate that in the future, then, you know, we'll
So
certainly.
we'll revisit this in February and kind of see where we are then with collections and that kind of thing. I think that's a very good answer, Wayne, you gave. So, very good. Only thing I have is, you know, tomorrow's election day, go vote. If you live in rural Virginia, go vote.
That's right.
So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Franklin?
Well, you know, it's amazing on these taxes, how many experts you run up on out there that knows the law. But is it the state that required us to do this, to go by this procedure we did?
Yes, sir.
It's a state.
The tax code is real clear that we have to use, I can get the code section, but we have to use a third-party valuation service, which in this case is NADA. So that's what we use. We use the clean loan value, as we have always done. And so between a 20 and a 25% discount from the retail price that you would pay at a dealer for a used car. And that's what we did. And it was, just frankly, it was almost like a perfect storm. I have never seen anything like it in my life. And I think any dealer you talk to will tell you the same thing. From new cars to the shortage of used cars, values just skyrocketed. And probably in about a 6-7 month period is when we really saw the increase and the shortage of vehicles. So it was the perfect storm. And I'm hoping, what I've been reading is the chip situation seems to be improving a little bit. And that's what drives new cars, the availability of new cars. And that's also going to affect used vehicles. So, fingers crossed that this is going to improve. But the methodology is dictated by the state of Virginia, yes, sir, to answer your question.
And one other thing, it runs about 60 days behind before he gets those values. So when we're working in March, he's looking at January and looking at the trend of where the book's going roughly and how it's moving. And it really wasn't that huge of a trend upward in pricing back in the October to January. We saw a little bit, so Ed felt confident that we weren't going to lose money. We'd probably make a little bit. We didn't know how many new cars had been done, but we were seeing a trend, so we knew we were getting more vehicles, newer vehicles. So when we start in April and really delving hard into the numbers, we're using a February book. Well, in February, the numbers were greatly different than where they were in July. We don't get that July book until basically the end of August, correct?
Correct.
So that's the difference in that spike you saw really hit in July, August. I mean, those are the time frames. That's when it was really going at the highest. It seems to have leveled right now, but that's the issue that we came up with. So we're pulling.
After the budget too.
Huh?
That's after the budget.
Oh, yes, after the budget. We don't get that until September to start the billing. And then we've got about a 2-week window between when we get it, it gets downloaded to the system, we get it to the printer, and they get ready to take it. Because we try to get out 60 days, beforehand, so people have it, because people want to prepare for it, they want to know how much the taxes are, et cetera. So, and if that date when we went, everything used to be due on that time frame, that December. Now we have it split, so that does help somewhat. And then you've got people in town, theirs are at the beginning of January, February, correct? Their taxes. Yeah. Right, so we try to stay away from that because people used to fuss that everything came at the same time. So you're trying to split that up, but that's part of the problem, is that time lag. And we had no idea what July was going to be like. That June, July, August timeframe where it really ramped up based upon using a February number.
Well, my district kind of borders on Charlotte County. Charlotte County, I think they did lower their tax rate a little bit and got because we look at other counties, a lot of things we do. How about Halifax and all them? All of them got caught with the same thing that we did.
Only 2 counties in the state use a fiscal year like we do, us in Charlotte. All cities, I think, do. Am I correct on most of them?
Most of them.
Right. Charlotte is the only one that I know of that lowered their values. I have not read of anywhere across the state where any city lowered theirs. They lowered theirs, but the other counties use a January 1 date for their budgets, even if they do split billing. So theirs would be valued upon what's happening come January 1. And when they did their budget, it was based upon whatever it was also, again, but everybody thought it was in February. So there'll probably be some reaction with regards to that then, but that doesn't affect them even if they do a split billing until June. Because they do a June to January, so they have a split date on theirs. But we're the only 2 counties, as far as I know of in the state.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why you haven't heard the other ones make any changes yet.
So if we lower our rates, and then when the regularity of car distribution come back into what everything's normal, then we have to go back and increase our rates again.
Yes, so you have to advertise. If you lower it, you got to advertise a lowering. And when you change it back, you have to advertise an increase. If you change the percentage, you have to advertise that also as a taxing decrease, or then later on, when you raise it back up, it's a tax increase.
So how beneficial would it be? Because I think I heard Mr. Taylor said last time, he's looking at somewhere around 18 months, maybe 2 years. Then after that, I know we increased now, but then later on we have to go back and change it. So is it really necessary to change it? We just suffer the stone.
That's a board decision, not a state.
Right.
Decision y'all would have to make. But the forecasting of increased values is a little tricky in the hills. And
Ed, you might want to step up to the mic so it doesn't go out on the line very well.
sorry. That's the $24,000 question, is the projection of where we think values might be. And that's the tricky part. So we're hoping that sometime in the next year or so, things can improve. But that's a decision y'all would have to make. However, the fiscal budget process is really complicated. Sandra and I have to give Wayne some figures on general fund funding several months ahead of time, February, March, for him to start putting a budget together for you. He has other sources of revenue he's got to take into consideration that we're not involved with. But it is all consuming for him and for us to some point. But we try and be as conservatively accurate as we can. Since I've been here, we have not had to adjust the budget. Lots of municipalities can't say that. In the middle of the year, they have to readjust their budget and advertise it because they came up short. Mecklenburg has not had to do that, at least since I've been here, and I don't think you've done that prior to that. So I think our predecessors did a pretty good job in projecting revenue and expenses. And Wayne, how he does it, I don't know. I think he's got a calculator in the ceiling tiles in his office. I kid him about that all the time. But come February and March, Mr. Jennings, we've got to really do some fine study on what we think our revenue is going to be. We know what our expenses are going to be, but The revenue is the real tricky question. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
And one thing we'll try to do at that February meeting, we'll have November numbers from NADA then, and we'll try to get Ed to pull a sampling with regards to that to see if we see what it's trending, what those values are. If we're seeing a 20% decrease, if you're saying, well, I saw a 40% increase this year, but it's half of it going away, that'll kind of tell us where we'll hopefully be, or at least trending downward, if it's still holding steady. Again, I won't know. He's not going to know when he starts giving me figures from February what it's going to be like in July, because we're literally 4 or 5 months out ahead. So that's what we're having to look at. And, you know, as we told you, we're 6 months behind. When we're using a February number that we're estimating in April for a July date, that we won't find the final figure till September, so we can mail you out your taxes in October.
That's all anybody can ask when you just do,
Yeah.
address it like.
But we'll take a look at it and try to see where that's trending. Plus, also that'll give us an idea of where we're looking at next year with regards to that, and that might be able to. If you start jumping hugely up and down,
You don't want to do that.
I understand that. I would agree with you.
You don't want to do that.
Whereas, let's see what we can trend more as we
think
do with
that's
the real
what
estate, the bell curve. Let's try to work that. Yes, sir. We will.
My concern is when you advertise that the rates are going up, there's a tax increase, nobody remembers that we gave you some money back when. All they're gonna see is tax increase.
I understand that, sir. I've been here for 32 years.
Remember the last couple years.
Well, I agree with Mr. Jennings. You know, tomorrow's get out and vote again, and I just suggest one thing: when you do go to the mark that ballot, I don't know how you marked it last year. Don't want to know, but you know, gas is up about double what it was last year. Propane is up double what it was last year. The grocery stores, when you go, is up 40 or 50%. And what if you go get a part for your vehicle, you can't get one, or your tractor, or your lawnmower, stuff like that. So don't forget all that when you go to the ballot and vote tomorrow. Just kind of think about what we're going through right now. So just a suggestion. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Lundy?
Yes, thank you. Tina, congratulations. Job well done. The schools, Mr. Nichols, is coming along very well. It's taking shape in the yard. It's taking shape. I can't wait for the ribbon cutting next year. And as Mr. Brinkley said, exercise your right to vote tomorrow. Vote your conscience. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hargrove?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I thank you, Mr. Brankley, thank you, Mr. Dennis, for bringing it to our attention, the taxes and so forth, the voting. And Ms. Tina, you had to give me kudos. You've done a fabulous job. And as well, thank all of those that got up early in the morning to help her. And Ms. Jenny was going to give me her part, and I was saying, like, please don't ask me no 3 o'clock in the morning. But there's only one thing, and thank for the gas company to come out and breaking to bring clarity of what they are doing, and plus adding to the tax base. And Mr. Nichols, thank you for bringing us the preview of the school. And I think the only thing I'm asking, are you going to have a bus to tour the outside perimeter when it's time to tour? Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Sir? and I still have good license, so yes, I will. And also the Mission Impact, I would thank them for helping the next year when this goes into effect to help the underprivileged individuals. And I want to have one question for you, Ms. Tina. Can you next year do a 15-second picture or drone of Mr. Branker jumping off the boat in the water?
It ain't gonna take 15 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, just to follow up what y'all have said, you know, the Williams Company invest in this area. They really ought to do a lot for this area, and we should be thankful for that. It's just a blessing again, you know, for the tax base. Like he said, it's a pretty big deal, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
In a rural area like that, to have a tax income, you know, for that area. That's a good thing to see, and I'm good to see about the progress of the new school. Beautiful facility, and very impressed with the ag program part of it. Doesn't look like any corners were cut there, which I still believe, you know, ag is such a vital part of this economy, and we're very thankful to see that part of it. And hopefully, you know, with your new hire,
Mr. Sullivan. Hopefully that'll, be a good for our future. And again, to Tina, that's just wonderful that you were able to pull all that together. I know it was a lot of hard work, and thankful to all y'all getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the unforeseen people who played a big part in this as well. Thanks everybody, because it was such a good investment for our county. And again, back to the tax situation. We all feel the same way. I really believe we all were a victim of circumstances. We're doing the best we can with it. I want the taxpayers to know that, and that we should certainly, have that meeting and stick to it in February, because it's a very time specific in figuring every bit of this process. We have to, even if January is too early, right, for collections, you feel like, we really need to stick with them and probably have some options going forward in February, other than just a discussion. So that's all I had.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tanner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, Mr. Nichols, school looks great. Thank you for the drone footage. That really kind of brings it into perspective, the size of the complex, but also everything that's gone on there to make it happen. Also, I'd like to shout out to Jason Corwin and his folks at the elections office, because I know they've been working hard, and I know everybody definitely needs to get out and vote tomorrow. Tina, I know you had some long days. I'm glad Wayne and Judy and all them are able to get some sleep now, because I think it was some early mornings for them. But Wayne, if they do it again, you might be able to help them even more. Also, as this week was National First Responders Day, I always want to say thank you to our police, fire, rescue, and our dispatchers. They never hear it enough, but we do want to say thank you. Also, if anybody hadn't gotten any tickets for the South Hill Shrine Club Seafood Festival, cutoffs this week, so we need to know that. And also on the tax side, like I said, I think hopefully by February we can look at something with that to be able to do something, because I think it was quite a bit of a sticker shock this year. I know mine was when I opened it, so I think everybody else felt the same way. And that's really all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Well, I'd just like to, point out that how good it felt to go back to a normal Halloween with, especially, I know downtown South Hill in particular, the turnout in downtown was really great. The merchants, of course, lined the streets and gave candy out, kids, costumes. You just can't help but not love it when you see those kids dressed up like they are. And the adults too now, it's becoming an adult thing too, I think. And it was just a great night for all. It didn't have any instances as far as I know. I can maybe Sheriff Barber could comment on that. I think it went off really good without a hitch. Tina, kudos for you. Just unbelievable what you do. Putting this stuff together, it's like a nightmare on Elm Street trying to get it all to come together. And the fact that I saw all those numbers for Clarksville of how many stayed in Clarksville area, well, that means meals tax and room tax and, people, the merchants downtown having some sales. And so I was glad to see that number, and I attribute a lot of that to you bringing this great event here. And, on and on about Paul Nichols and what he's been able to do with the school here at the presentation, just like Tom said, that visual presentation really just tells you the whole picture right there. It's really nice, really nice. And last thing, I don't know if anybody's noticed, our numbers have been dropping on COVID. We're down to like 30, 35 now. I was tired of seeing those 80 and 100 numbers. So let's hope that they're keep on subsiding and that we can get back to some sense of normality in our community. That's all.
All right. Thanks, sir. Mr. Spain?
There's a lot been said. Yes, I'm concerned about the tax issue. Just can't imagine what we went through, Tina, make it successful. Mr. Nichols, I will be working on your rock garden, give you some ideas. And if each person get out and vote for tomorrow, First Responder Week, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah, I told people back when we were discussing the school project and talking about the budget and how much money was involved and all that, I told a lot of folks, I said, you really, most people in the county, including me, probably have no concept of the size of this project. So when you see these videos like we just saw, it brings it all into perspective. I mean, it's just huge. And it's something that this county is going to be very proud of for many, many years to come. And you know, I think we're going to set the tone for future school constructions in the state of Virginia with this project. I really do. Tourism, Tina, thank you. Great job reading those emails from those folks at the fishermen and the organization, and just very proud of you. Very good. Vote. Go vote. If you don't vote, don't whine.
That's right. Don't say nothing.
So that's a privilege that we really should not take for granted, folks.
Yes.
We really should not. So, okay, that's all I have. I don't think we have a closed session.
Yes, sir, we do.
Oh, we do?
Personnel.
We're-
It's from, it's on the agenda. If y'all,
But what
we
is,
need to discuss the deputy county administrator's position.
so personnel, because there was nothing under there, so I should have asked that question earlier. Okay, well, that concludes our regular board member agenda. And so at this time, we do need to go into closed session to discuss personnel matters. Need a motion to go into closed session?
Motion to go into closed session?
Motion to go into closed session. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
We are in closed session. We'll take need a motion to certify our closed session.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to certify. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're now officially back in open session. Mr. Spain, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Motion that we hire Alex Gotcha for the Deputy County Administrator for Mecklenburg County.
Okay. All right, you've heard the motion. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Excellent. Anything else to come before the board for the good of Mecklenburg County?
Just want to thank the board for a smooth hiring of the new county administrator. I know there are a lot of concern, and I thought it went well.
Yep, I agree. I'm sorry I couldn't be here for the last session, but.
And I think he stood out from the rest.
Oh, he did. No question.
It wasn't like it was.
All right, thank you, folks. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
Take care.
We'll see you